So the Republicans and the Trump supporters are collectively losing their minds right now because Donald Trump's rally in Philadelphia yesterday didn't go to plan, because we learned after the rally had concluded through photos and videos that were released that the crowd size at Trump's speech was incredibly small and incredibly underwhelming. This is humiliating for Donald Trump. It's a major shot at his ego. So right now, all of these Trump supporters and members of his campaign are running all over social media to try to give some justification as to why the crowd was small. They're coming up with this excuse and that excuse, but we know the truth. Donald Trump is just not popular. Nobody wants to vote for a convicted felon. Nobody wants to go to his rallies. That is why. There's no other magical deep state excuse that they're inevitably going to come up with. So we're going to look at some pictures from this rally to really show you how empty it is. But first and foremost, I want to show you a video that the Trump campaign themselves released showing all of these empty seats on the top level of the venue. So quite the self-own here. Take a look at the clip. Yeah, did you see all of those empty seats on the top level? Not a soul in sight. There was just not enough interest for them to have those seats open to people and for people to sit there. And so all of them were empty. Not a soul was in those seats. And I actually took some screenshots from that video so we can just get a better look at it. Here is one side of the venue. The entire top level is empty, and it's the same story on the other side as well. Not a soul in those seats. And there are, of course, more pictures of the venue during Donald Trump's speech. Here's another closer angle. You can see, as I mentioned, not a single soul in any of those seats. And even on the lower level where people were sitting, there are still, if you look closely, still some empty seats right there. So it's very, very far from a packed house. And you know what? You might be saying, well, yeah, you know, those empty seats are up there, but the crowd on the floor, well, they looked rowdy. They looked very excited. They seemed to be a lot of them. Well, not quite, because even the video that the Trump campaign released was quite deceptive in that nature when it came to the crowd on the floor. So here is another angle of the floor crowd, and you can see from this photo that it's not that many people right there. There are not that many Trump supporters on the floor of this venue and where Donald Trump was speaking, and there's even empty seats on the floor. So just empty seats all around. Donald Trump thought that he was just going to walk into Philly and there was going to be so many people there to support him, but no, actually there weren't. Quite the contrary. And the really funny thing, and I mean the really funny thing about this story, is the fact that President Biden has spoken in this exact same venue. And when President Biden spoke, it went a little bit differently. He filled the venue. Top to bottom, there were people there. Here's the picture on your screen. That's President Biden at the podium speaking. And you can see the floor is packed, the lower level is packed, the upper level is packed. There are people everywhere. So when President Biden came to Philly, he filled the venue. Top to bottom, he filled the venue. And it's so funny, and it's such an amazing opportunity to poke fun at MAGA that the Biden campaign even hopped on the train. They posted this on social media saying President Biden versus Donald Trump speaking at the same venue in Philly, comparing those two photos side by side. So I don't know. I think the photos don't lie. I think the photos show that President Biden is welcomed in the great city of Philly, one of the best cities we have in the United States. But when Donald Trump goes there, not quite. He's not coming close to filling the venue. All of those seats at the top, empty. When Biden speaks, they're full. People are there. Now, I've heard quite a few excuses from MAGA as to why this could be. The main one I hear is that it's fire code. They had all of those seats empty at the top because of fire code. They couldn't, pack the place, and they had to keep it empty, and it wasn't the Trump campaign. It wasn't them. There was plenty of interest. It was fire code. Except that is utter nonsense because, as we just saw, the photo of President Biden speaking at the rally, but I also wanted to show you some other photos from this exact same venue of events taking place, which also completely contradicts that theory. So here is Temple's graduation. Temple University's graduation in 2024. The floor is filled, the lower level is filled, the upper level is filled. So what's the excuse there, MAGA? We have Biden, we now have the graduation. Here's another angle of the graduation. Again, filled top to bottom. Oh, and I actually decided to take the liberty to go to the website to see if they have anything about fire code, to see, is it true that, the seats were closed because of fire code? It wasn't the Trump campaign's doing. Well, no, actually, because the website of this venue has photos on their website. As you can see on your screen right now, here's the first one of the entire venue being filled from floor to lower level to top. Here's one. Here's another. Again, the entire place is filled. And the last one I want to show you, here it is, another. Entire place is filled, top to bottom. So, as we can see from these photos, Donald Trump's just not that popular. He's just not welcome in the great city of Philly. Nobody's really showing up to see Donald Trump speak, the convicted felon, the proven sexual abuser, the proven fraudster. And I find it so funny that the Trump campaign thought that they were going to have a packed house when this is the vote margin that happened in 2020. Look at that. President Biden winning 81.4% of the vote, 603,000 votes. And Donald Trump won 132,000. So this is a blue city. This is a Biden city. This is a city that votes for Joe and doesn't vote for Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans. And you saw it in those photos. You saw it in the venue. Biden fills it. Graduation fills it. Concerts fill it. Donald Trump does not fill it. But, this is in line with Donald Trump and his campaign. I wouldn't expect anything less. Look, they've tried this tactic before where they post deceptive photos or deceptive videos to make crowds look bigger, but they couldn't even do it here. The entire top level was closed off. But they've tried tactics like this before. I mean, remember Donald Trump said that 100,000 people showed up to his rally in Wildwood, New Jersey, and then city officials had to come out and say, that's not true. I don't know where they got that number. That's completely false. There were not 100,000 people at his rally in Wildwood, New Jersey. He also did the same thing with the Bronx. He said that there were 25 to 30,000 people that showed up. But as we saw from aerial imagery, from literal helicopters that are flying over the crowd, that was not the case. It wasn't even close to 30,000. Secret Service were estimating well below that. And along with New York police were also estimating well below that. Completely lower. And they only had a permit for a certain amount of people at that rally as well. So that's the truth. Anytime they talk about a big rally size or they say that this was so attended and that was so attended, it's probably false. I would say 99% of the time it's false. Because that's what they do. They're trying to manufacture momentum for Trump's campaign. They see him dropping in the polls. They see him losing support rapidly because more and more Americans don't want to vote for a convicted felon. So what do? They manufacture it. They put out fake polls saying Donald Trump's 10 points ahead. They had these rallies where not many people show up, so they have to try to come up with an excuse as to why it's the case. And look, the real reason is that Donald Trump is just not popular. Nobody wants to vote for Donald Trump. Nobody wants to vote for the sexual abuser, convicted felon, Donald Trump. Especially not in the great city of Philly, especially not in the great state of Pennsylvania, which I hope we take home in 2024. It's an incredibly important state, but seeing this crowd size at that rally has me hopeful. So anyway, I just wanted to show you this and talk about this new myth that the Republicans are spreading, that the rally was, somehow the fire marshal prevented it from being full. It was a deep state. It was Joe Biden or whatever they're coming up with. But in reality, people just don't want to watch them. So anyway, I'll wrap up the video there. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe down below. It goes an incredibly long way. Also drop a like on the video and comment. I'm excited to hear what you have to say about all of this. And look, as I always say, I appreciate you and I hope you have an amazing rest of your day.